All right, gang, welcome to Two Guys Garage. We have a resurrection, a semi-barn find, but you can see the challenge at hand. Giant hole with nothing in it. A partial engine sitting way over here.
Yeah, we'll tell you, Kev, I call this one yellow. But we've been bamboozled by the badging. I'll explain next on Two Guys Garage.
All right, hold up, y'all. All right, we got this project car. Willie went out on some little parts run, came back with this, and I was kind of cool with it, but then all of a sudden he said we just got bamboozled.
Well, allow me to explain.
You best explain.
So I'm at the junkyard picking up a 5.3 for my own personal build, okay?
Fine.
Right?
Yeah.
All kinds of rows of cool cars and then crash cars and whatnot. And I see this gym, I trade a little workout from us for my 5.3.
From us for your 5.3.
Exactly.
All right,
okay?
I'm feeling bamboozled. I don't know where you're bamboozled.
Slightly.
Okay.
But you got Super Sport badging all over. You got 427
dude.
turbo
This is
jet.
awesome.
All right, watch me. Go to work. Go to the door.
Go to the
All right?
door.
Yeah,
What am I
go to
gonna-
the door. Okay.
What am I doing at the door?
All right, now snap a picture of the VIN number. So
right.
in 1962, 3, and 8, right, it was an option car, meaning the SS, you would just go in and opt for Z03 package. Well, 64 through 67, it was a designated model with its own VIN prefix of 168. Regular Impalas were 164. Show everybody the VIN number, sir.
No, that's all right. We're good. All right.
What do you
So
got?
right here, 164.
164. She's all dressed for prom, but nobody to date. So it's basically a clone. It's an Impala dressed up as an SS, albeit super sweet.
It is super sweet. And it has what seems like, on this side, 427 valve covers on a big block, which you never can quite tell.
Exactly. It could either be the L36 was rated about 385 horsepower or the L72, which was a beast.
But L72 wasn't offered in 67. I do know that.
Correct.
66 and 68 for some reason.
Yes.
But you
And-
could only get the lower 385 horse. So
Right.
I wonder what this one is.
Well, easy way to find out. We'll get to that in just a few. Now, all we have to do is get the engine compartment cleaned up, get the motor kind of dialed up and painted, and then back in the car.
Meanwhile, you get the 5.3. Basically, we didn't get bamboozled. I got bamboozled. All right, so anyway, we got this cool motor. Sounds like you got a plan. I'm roped in. You say we just get on it and get it over with.
Amen. Let's get to it, grab some tools, and get started on this thing.
All right. Now, we've got this thing really degreased right before this stage.
Yeah,
so
man.
a lot of time degreasing, a lot of brushing, you know, a little emery cloth, whatever
Yeah.
it takes to scuff it up and get all the gunk off.
Right. My man Kev, obviously, hacking away with the razor blade.
Yeah, razor blade's your friend and get a bunch of them because they get dull and they'll just start tearing the tape versus cutting it.
Exactly.
And you could use newspaper, whatever you want to cover a bulk section. And then obviously you tape around it, you can overlap it, then just come in, you know, draw a nice little line.
Or if you got an old pair of ugly valve covers and you don't mind having them painted, works really easy. Now, something I did on the intake, we're gonna send this intake off and get it all bead blasted and nice, but I like to put the intake on here after I've gone through and taped up the inside of the intake of the head. So when I pull that off, right, I'll lay a couple layers of tape down here, take a Sharpie, just kind of outline the intake. Then all of a sudden, you can come back through the razor blade, follow your line, peel that up, because you've all seen those motors where they painted it, and then they left this exposed, and you get oxidation, you get rust, and it just looks, you know, subpar.
Yeah, man, it's a good little simple trick. It works,
Yeah.
it looks nice. So, you know, just take your time. This is a dirty job. It's a little meticulous, but, you know, the more you pay attention, you know, the better the paint job's gonna come out. It's gonna last a long time. It's gonna look cool under there. So
Exactly.
I'm gonna start on this side. But you know, man, while I was over there, what I noticed something, it says high performance.
Oh, yeah.
So, right, this motor shouldn't be the 425 horse. It should be the 385. This L72 is the top dog.
Right, but I did a little research on this particular head. This was the same head that came on, right? The 72, the 71, and the 78, right? So if you wanted big power, this is the head you had.
All right, so it sounds like we got a clone car, but so far, at least on the top end, we got a legit head.
Yeah, no
Set
doubt.
heads.
Anytime you can put L72 heads on any sort of 427 solid lift cam, they ran like 10.25 to 11.1 compression. I mean, these things barked back in the day.
Nice. Okay, so we're gonna finish taping this thing up, get it all sealed, start getting it dusted up. It'll look pretty, then we can dress it. Nah, man,
What?
my side definitely looks better.
It's because I primed that side.
Nah, man, I primed this side. Mine's just like more orange. I don't know what's going on over on your side, but.
So a couple things you want to make note of. Always come in and shoot low. Last thing you want to do is get that car in the lift, have one of your buddies going, hey man, you missed a spot. So there's parts of the heads that hang over. We have a new balancer for it. So, you know, that looks kind of cool. We have new plugs for it. So we just left the old ones in there, protect the threads. All that stuff is fine. And obviously we have a new oil filter for it. So you can leave some of the old parts in there, spray away, right?
Yeah. Now, speaking of spraying, you know, check the manufacturer, whatever paint. They're gonna have recommendations. So we did a light primer, and we're gonna do 3 coats. 2 light coats, and then a medium. And we're gonna about 10 minutes between coats. You're gonna get the best adhesion, the best look. You definitely don't wanna go in there and go hot and heavy and thick, man. So a couple thin coats, a little heavier, man.
Hey, man.
I think it'll last a lot longer.
Is my head orange?
Yeah. You missed the spot. You missed the spot. All right, we're gonna finish this up and take a break. Hey, man, you start dressing it out pretty soon.
Introduced in 1958, the Chevy Impala is one of the longest running production cars in American history. Do you know what year it set the all-time industry sales record? We'll have the answer right after the break. So what year did the Impala set the all-time industry sales record? Well, if you answered A, then you're right. You see, in 1965, the Chevy Impala was totally restyled, and Chevy sold over 1 million units in the U.S., setting an all-time record that is yet to be beaten. This Two Guys Garage IQ test is brought to you by Federated Auto Parts.
All right, welcome back to Two Guys Garage. Now, man, the only way this project gets better is if we start throwing slabs of bacon at it.
I like bacon.
All right, so we have our L72 427. It's back in the engine compartment. We painted it all up, dialed it up. We have ample room to put in the, the power steering pump, water pump, alternator, and so forth. You don't have that luxury in a lot of cars, but literally, you could stand in front of here and there's no problem, plenty of room.
That's a big block. So, I mean, that's a crazy amount of space, man. So you can see we've got a giant pile AC Delco we're gonna throw at this thing. And of course, it's just gonna top it, get this thing running.
Yes.
Fill your end of the bargain. I'm still figuring out where my end of the bargain is.
Labor. Now,
Yeah.
we already have a brand new harmonic balancer on there, a harmonic dampener. Now, the great part is about that is what it's actually doing. We put this in, pulled the old one, pressed the new one on, and, get all big brain on them.
Well, I don't know about big brain, but when you think about, you got a crankshaft in there.
Yeah.
This is bolted to the front of that crankshaft.
Okay.
Well, here's a wheel, right? This could be a crankshaft. There's a shaft going through here. Right, if I spin this, it's nice and smooth, but I'm really hitting it with a piston firing. So it's bang, bang, bang. So I really have accelerations. So the engine is really doing this every time you hit it with a piston firing, and it ends up twisting back and forth, right? So you get these torsional vibrations all the way through the driveline. And if you get a natural frequency lined up with the frequency of hitting it with a piston, I mean, you get huge vibrations or failures.
And really, that's what they tune these harmonic balances for. So you have some rubber in here, and really on those frequencies is how big this mass is from the OE side, right?
Yep.
So this is attached to the crankshaft, this inner part. So when it gets those licks, it's actually dampening with this and with this rubber on the inside.
Right, they actually move relative to each other, right? And dampen those vibrations, make everything smoother, and parts last longer.
Yes.
Which is always great, right?
Amen. Well, speaking of parts, man, we got a bunch of them. We need them on this. So we should probably get to work.
Here's this one. Here's this one. Like the one on our Impala today, one of the components that typically fails on these vehicles is the harmonic balancer. Now again, this is made up of an inner hub and an outer ring with rubber seated in the middle designed to absorb and reduce engine vibrations. Now harmonic balancers will typically fail when the rubber between the inner and outer ring deteriorates. And this can happen gradually over years due to extreme temperatures, leaking engine fluids. But the good news is that designs for harmonic balancers has improved quite a bit over the decades, which means that repairs like this can often come with added benefits. We got an OE quality replacement for ours from Dorman. So let's take a look at some of the differences between then and now. Now, the old harmonic balancer on our 66 Impala is a lot clunkier than today's designs. It's almost twice as heavy, not to mention it requires a separate drive belt pulley that bolts on, versus new designs that can incorporate the serpentine drive belt around the outside of the balancer, saving both weight and space. Now, other versions for more modern vehicles include different types of tone or exciter rings that the crank sensor uses to communicate with the engine control computer. Now, Dorman harmonic balancers feature a stress-resistant rubber bond that withstands the damaging effects of heat, salt, and general wear and tear. And the ductile iron construction allows for improved strength and helps safeguard the engine from potential failures year after year. So you can find your replacement harmonic balancer at your local Federated Auto Parts.
All right, let's talk some water pumps and power steering pumps for a big block L72 in our Impala. Now, first, the water pump. It's from AC Delco. It's a professional premium water pump. And a couple things. They have a heat-treated shaft. It's going to give you a lot more performance and durability than, say, the non-heat-treated shaft. All the gaskets and O-rings that come with this is going to ensure a tight seal. And another thing is this is the actual recommended GM replacement part for your GM vehicle. Says something right there. Now, if you move over to the power steering pump. Now, the great part about these AC Delco reman pumps is they blow the entire thing apart. And every part that's prone to like wear and failure, they'll replace with a new piece and component. It's also line tested to ensure you get that top pressure. And another thing that's really important, a lot of shops tend to forget to do, is flush the system. Obviously, you're gonna bleed the system when you put it in, but flushing the system to get all those old contaminants out of the gearbox and the rack and pinion and so forth is very important. You don't want any old contaminants, any old debris or whatever to get in and ruin your new pump. Now, enough talking about the old water pump and power steering pump. Time to actually turn a wrench and get them on. Now, I can't stress enough the importance of actually bleeding the system. Putting a new power steering pump on, filling it full of fluid, and not bleeding it makes about as much sense as decaffeinated coffee. What happens is the pump cavitates, you get bubbles, and it just destroys the pump. So make sure you get the right bleeding procedure for your application.
All right, one of the most abused parts on a VA, especially a big block, is the starter. So we got out of our goodie stash from AC Delco Professional Reman. It's got all the goodies in it, new centered bronze bushings, oil impregnated, right? New copper or coated terminals, right? Anything out of specs, all put together with quality. So that'll go in one time and one time only. Now let's look at how it actually works. Now back in the day, you had a hand crank. And once you got the engine started and it started going, you better get out of the way of that hand crank and disengage it, or it could come back and clip you pretty hard. But then somebody invented the starter, which is great. Electric motor, drives a little gear, but again, I gotta get that gear engaged and then get it back out. So you have this thing called the solenoid. Well, a solenoid has windings in it that drive an actuator in and out. So if I'm driving in and out, and it's sitting up here, I can drive this gear in and out with a little fork. Pretty cool. So I got a little cantilever pin here, and you'll notice it actually does a little spinning, so that helps it try to find its engagement, which is cool. And then it tries to get the heck out of the way. Now, the other cool thing in there is a one-way clutch, and I can turn it one way, but I can't turn it the opposite way. So that's gonna drive the engine to start it, but once the engine goes, it can free spin and then, again, eject. So that's how it works. Let's get this guy bolted in. We'll check the alignment, the gear meshing with some shims, and we'll be moving on.
We're all aware of the damage in diesel engines caused by stiction, the burnt oil that builds up and attaches itself to the moving parts inside the engine. Stiction increases wear and steals power from your engine when you need it most. But you may not realize that this same stiction buildup is slowly sucking life from your gasoline engines, which could lead to expensive repairs down the road. To remove stiction and restore power without spending valuable time in the shop, add Hot Shot Secret Stiction Eliminator to the oil system of your car or truck. After just one treatment of this patented new formula, your vehicle will be free of stiction and begin to regain its original performance. Safe to use in diesel and gas engines, Stiction Eliminator is guaranteed to remove stiction from your entire oil system while adding superior lubrication to prevent engine wear and stiction problems in the future. This tip is brought to you by Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
1-843-6572, the most important set of numbers aside from your significant other's phone number you'll ever know. Fire an order for a big block Chevy and Mopar. Now let's talk about some of these integral parts. Now this will be the cap. Now understand, you got a rotor button riding in here, throwing 40,000 volt arcs to these contact points. Obviously, over time, they'll corrode, they'll wear, and so forth. That's why you want to get a brand new cap and replace it every time you do a tune-up. Also smart, you place the rotor button and index it to the housing, the shaft, and the block. That way, when you drop the distributor back in your car, your timing is set. Now, we didn't actually know timing on this 427, so we just put it at the top dead center and aim it towards the #1 plug. Now look, one other thing. Typically, spark plug wires aren't a part of my keen sense of fashion, but at AC Delco, they'll replace it as long as you're the guy that bought the wires and have the receipt for the lifetime of the car. Who does that? All right, I'll get it all dressed up, and we got some additional parts in here buttoning up this 427.
All right, I just got to say this project isn't going anywhere without me bringing the juice to get that thing fired up. All right, so I've got cables and professional Gold Series battery from AC Delco. Now, the first thing to think about is getting that juice to that starter. So you want something like these, 99% pure copper, so you can have high conductivity, get that thing lit off. Then you want to talk about routing, right? I got big headers over here, potentially going to melt through anything. So route cleanly and away, and we're going to try to keep that clean idea, right, all the way through. Now, I'm leaving my safety caps on right now as we're just mocking up. Now, on the negative side, right, I'm gonna find a way to maybe ground down here instead of dangling the thing over like factory onto one of these brackets. So we'll work on getting this thing to maintain that clean look. Now, to really provide that power pack performance punch, right, our battery here, and with AC Delco, it's all about how the construction of the battery is put together. So on the negative side, you got a high density paste. On the positive side of that cell, it's all about the silver calcium. It brings performance and the durability. Now you've got things like the vent sort of design here that keeps any acid from getting out, any kind of corrosion. So again, all about power punch for long life. Now, speaking of which, let's get this all strung out and connected so we're ready to light that fuse.
Yeah, and I'm one step closer to my 5'3".
Yeah, you're 5'3". What am I still getting out of this thing?
We'll work it out, man. We'll figure it out.
Better work something.
I did put together this cool product that we got in, right?
Yeah, this is a great setup. Now, this is from Inventive Products, a great system that not only protects the cars from all the debris, our toys, but also makes towing simple and easy.
Yeah, Kev, we just don't have enough full-grown man conversations about mud flaps.
We don't.
Well, let me tell you about these, okay? It's an XD mud flap, and it's full-on from 76 to 106 inches of adjustability and 17 inches in height.
Keeps all that rock chips from going on your nice vehicles. The other thing that makes it simple is their XD Sportsman hitch. This can go in a 2 to 2.5, but it's fully adjustable up and down. You can flip the ball, so no matter what you're towing, you change trailers, one system does it all, keeps everything nice and safe.
So you're guilty, we're guilty, of making huge messes on occasion. Now, introducing Purple Power Industrial Strength Cleaner and Degreaser. And this stuff, it's a concentrated formula. In just seconds, it wipes away the toughest of stains.
Now, what's great is it creates a barrier between the stain, whatever you're trying to clean, lifts it off. It's VOC compliant in all states, biodegradable.
Yeah.
Now, these guys must watch the show because, we got the smaller products here, but they also sent for us.
Oh, yes.
Because we're so messy. Now, if only they knew, they would have sent the 55-gallon drum.
Exactly. Purple Power Industrial Strength Cleaner and Degreaser.
See ya.
A dull saw blade takes a toll on your equipment and your quality of work. Not only that, but it's dangerous to keep using. So how do you know when it's time to replace one? Aside from visual signs like chipped blade teeth or rough cuts in material, you can hear when it's time to replace a dull blade. As your blade goes bad, you can hear the motor working harder to cut through material. You can also feel when your blade has lost its sharp edge because you have to apply extra force to push the saw through the material you're cutting. When your saw blade starts to show any of these signs, change it immediately with a high-quality blade. A great resource for finding a replacement blade is sawblade.com. Using a web-based company means you can order whatever you need whenever you need it. And sawblade.com makes the highest quality blades, which means you can find a vast variety of great products at a very low price, direct from the manufacturer. They even offer same-day shipping to get your new blades there faster so you don't have to hold up the work. This tip is brought to you by sawblade.com. Be direct.
Hey, welcome back. We've got our 427 Impala really coming together. I mean, look at all the progress we've made. We've busted on some headers. We're dressing the thing up. We're almost done.
Yeah.
Sort of.
And we wish you could stay and hang out with us for a few more hours while we get in the radiator, the shroud, the carburetor, air filter, the alternator, get this thing on the road.
Just a couple things. Just a couple. But when we're done, ooh, baby, we're going for a drive and it's going to be fun. You know, I wasn't really excited about getting roped into this deal, but this is actually an awesome car, dude. That motor is so sweet.
Yeah.
I kind of forgive you, kinda. Why don't we just hang on to this car for a while?
No, head to the junkyard, bro. Sorry.
Can we work out some way to benefit me? All right, I gotta grudgingly admit, I had a great time on this project, but next time it's all about me. All right, we're out of here. We'll see you guys next time.